Coming up, the latest report on prices. We're going to speak to the CEO of Dickey's Barbecue on what she's seeing next. This is Bloomberg. CE price index, and that is the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation. Another month of encouraging data would all but cement a September rate cut. Let's talk about what this means for food prices. Joining us now is Rea Dickey, the CEO of Dickey's Barbecue Restaurants. Close eye here that you have on what prices look like under the surface and what consumers are able to stomach right now. Of course, Labor Day is around the weekend here, and a lot of people are going to want to have cookouts. Do you feel like you have to lower prices for them to really serve their friends and family the way they want to?
We absolutely do. You know, one of the great things about the holiday is the rest and relaxation, but it also means inflated prices. So all of the protein markets are up. That's chicken, that's pork, that's beef. Chicken alone is up over 20 cents a pound from last month. So that certainly puts some pressure on everyone in their wallet, but we absolutely have to incentivize folks with value, those right kind of deals, because everybody feels the pressure for spending right now.
If you have protein prices still very sticky, still high here, how do you then make sure that you're able to both keep prices low for consumers, but profits higher for yourself?
Absolutely. Great question. It is all about loyalty. You know, that's really where we have seen such an increase in our loyalty members. So where we're able to give discounts for folks that buy more often with us, and that's beneficial to everybody. So we've seen a huge uptick, almost 16% in the past quarter of loyalty members. That's definitely something that's a win-win for both the brand and for guests. And we've also seen over $16 million in business in the last quarter that has some sort of a discount or a coupon. So it's very much a requirement for the business to certainly be profitable, but to offer the best deals possible. And so folks are looking for family packs, they're looking for big yellow boxes, they're looking for options that have leftovers so they can squeeze that second or third meal of barbecue out of anything that they purchase.
That's really interesting because I was taking a look over at your points and I see that you've only raised prices twice in the last 4 years. You think about the path of inflation over the past 4 years and definitely would make you a little bit nauseous there. But I want to talk a little bit more about really the state of the consumer, because we just lived through a raft of restaurant earnings. And it's interesting, you have the likes of McDonald's talking about this choosy consumer. You have Cava talking about how they're seeing traditional restaurant diners trade down into you know, these fast casual chains. Where are you right now in that conversation?
Absolutely. And what has worked well for us is that as a fast casual brand, so you come in, we have that pit smoked barbecue on site. So you have all of the artisan quality, but we're still that quick serve. It's a 2-minute order to pay. So you walk in and you have our pit master at the block and they're chopping and hand slicing. So you have great value, you have great quality, but we also are able to really expand to what our guests or contract to what our guests are wanting. We can offer, you know, those individual meals all the way up to the family pack, but being fast casual, we have casual diners downgrading to us, which is where we're safe. Really where the market is playing right now. But we're definitely seeing everybody from where they've traditionally spent spending less. So we also have maybe some of our more regular guests that are seeking out our value menu. You know, we've expanded that as well. And we're definitely making sure that we're very mindful that we have price point options across the menu. So folks that are really wanting to stay in that $10 plate as opposed to a $20 plate option, you really have to have variety, because there are definitely folks all over the spectrum that are looking for values like they never have before.
And of course, we're talking about the U.S. diner primarily, but of course, you have big expansion plans internationally as well. You're opening several international locations by the end of the fourth quarter, rather. We're talking about Mexico, the Philippines, the U.K. How do you bring Texas barbecue to the rest of the world? What does that sort of taste education process look like?
Well, and that's a great way to put it. It is, you know, there's still this wonderful love of Texas brands and heritage, authentic brands. We're a family brand. We're third generation. We've been around since 1941. So we bring an authenticity that I think folks really enjoy. And we bring that quality. We bring the cooking methods overseas with us. And so while we have over 500 locations in the U.S. that we also are expanding internationally, we have the same base menu. We have an adoption of a local favorites, but we keep the same sauces, the same primary proteins, the same rubs rubs, we import our rubs and sauce. So they're really getting that Texas flavor. And it's really wonderful to see folks that embrace that. We have as many expats as we do folks that are really just, wanting a little taste of Texas.
I want to also talk about what's happening here at home, because you have told us here that you're shifting customers, shifting to curbside pickup to avoid delivery tips and charges. At the same time, you have plans being set forth by the presidential candidates about how tips are going to be taxed in the future. This could have pretty drastic ramifications in terms of how people tip, how people hire. What do you think of these plans?
I absolutely think one of the best things to really put some invigoration back into the workforce is to not tax tips. Doesn't matter what political side of the spectrum you're on, that would be a win-win for everybody, because it immediately puts folks' hard-earned money back in their pockets. That doesn't make a difference for us as a franchisor, as a brand, but it makes an immediate difference for our team members. So let folks keep their tips. That would increase their spending power. And it's a wonderful incentive to have folks stay engaged in the workforce. And we definitely have a lot of team members, pit crew members, as we call them, that have, that love of what they do, but without that additional ability to really be able to have those tips, they're having a very hard time.
How do you see this dynamic playing out in terms of how you pay employees? It's interesting. We're talking about pricing, price of goods, price of your goods, but also the price of workers here, the cost of labor. Have you had to see a lot of upward pressure there in wages? And are you willing to really supplement that more in lieu of that pressure downward on tips that we're seeing from customers?
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that served us well as a brand, is that we have always paid well above minimum wage. So when folks were talking about increasing the minimum wage, that wasn't something that had directly affected us for quite a while, because we had already been at over $10 in most markets, all markets at minimum $10 for a starting wage, and up from there. So we were able to withstand that because we had already been there. It's also, again, back to that tipped incentive for folks. Even though our team members are not tipped employees, there's a lot of opportunity. And I think it also allows less pressure for the guests to actually be able to tip less, and to have then the folks that they're intending to tip retain more of it. So it's a win-win all around, but it's a really nice supplement for performance and really that incentive to stay engaged in the workforce and do that little bit extra. So I think it's a net win-win, but I do think that businesses absolutely in every aspect have to take care of team members, because that's who takes care of the guest. That's who takes care of the business. That's who takes care of the quality of the food, in our case, the barbecue. So you really have to invest there first.
And sticking with politics, because we're just months away from the U.S. presidential election, looking at your biography, you've been with Dickey's for over 15 years here. You took over as CEO in 2017. So you've obviously led this company under both Republican and Democratic administrations. When you take a look at forward planning, what's next? I mean, does a Harris presidency or a Trump presidency affect how you do business?
Great question. And since we are over 82 years old, we have seen every type of administration. We have seen every type of political climate. In my career, I have seen seat changes on both sides of the aisle. And while it definitely has an impact, I think that the principles stay the same. Whereas if we stay focused on optimism, on finding a path or making one, of taking care of our team members and doing right by the guests with value, it certainly has business pressure. I do hope that the economists are right, that we're all seeing relief coming from inflation, because we're certainly more comfortable when our guests are more comfortable spending more. But we have flexibility. We have a lot of proteins on our menu. We have a lot of sides. We have a lot of options. It allows us opportunity, not only with our size and our purchasing power to weather those type of storms, but also to provide options for the guests. So while certainly either administration would have an impact, we've seen it both ways, and we'll keep serving great Texas barbecue either way.
Laura, as a CEO of a barbecue chain here, what are you ordering for Labor Day?
Oh, definitely giant stuffed bakers. That I would highly recommend to everybody. That is that gorgeous pit smoked baked potato that you stuff it with butter and cheese and sour cream and chives, and then top it with that barbecue brisket. I think there's nothing better than that.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're going to have a great weekend. Enjoy it when you get there, and really appreciate you taking the time with us today. That is Rea Dickey of Dickey's Barbecue Restaurants.